Well, it's been a while since I've done this. I'm a single father and got four beautiful boys. I don't get to see them very often, and I would like to explain some things to them briefly today about my faith in God. I was raised as a Christian by a single mother, and I backslid when I was young, and I repented, and I began reading the Bible in the evening to see how far off I was from doing God's will. And my mother and my sister and I were traveling to Arizona for Thanksgiving, for the holidays, and I was in the back of a small pickup truck that we had because there was only room for the two of them in the front. I was in a sleeping bag in the back when you could be in the back of pickup trucks. And we stopped off in Barstow, and I remember we stopped there to get gas, and it was the first time I'd seen a homeless family, and there was the father and the mother and the two children that were homeless and begging for money. And Barstow's halfway between Los Angeles and Las Vegas, and it's a very desolate place. And I remember thinking to myself that life could be worse. I could live here, and it's really stuck out in my mind, and it was kind of something between me and God. We got to Arizona, and I was sleeping in the front room, and there was nobody in the room next to me, or as I was in the front and everybody was in the back, and I began reading the Bible, and I heard an audible voice speak to me just like I'm speaking right now. And I believe it was the voice of God, and it told me I was going to die soon. And so from there, I had a dream that night, and I don't remember if it was that night or the night following that, but I'll never forget it. I saw Jesus, and I believe it was the rapture, and I was standing there, and Jesus was not a human form. And I remember this very vividly. He was almost like a small planet, spherical, like Mercury, where everything reflected off of him. And I felt so insignificant. I felt like there's not words for me to accurately describe how glorious he was. And I was like something less than the bacteria on the bottom of my shoe in his glory, and everything reflected off of him except for me. And I realized, because I hadn't acknowledged him in my life, that he wasn't going to acknowledge me. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, if you're ashamed of me when I come, I won't acknowledge you to my Father. So I realized, because I had been too ashamed to acknowledge Jesus in my life, that he wasn't going to acknowledge me to God in the rapture. So I began reading the Bible, and I decided that I would read it for myself without any religious ideology and rhetoric, and that I would just start reading through it and decide what I believed God's will was. And I'll talk a little bit about that later. Thank you.